Alien Disclosure Network. You are listening to your host, Matthew, and we are joined with our co-host, Marshall, recording from the southern prairies of Saskatchewan, Canada. Tonight, as of March 15th, 2017 at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, we began our first ever exclusive interview with our guest on the line now from Texas, USA. We are very pleased to have him with us tonight to talk about his experiences in witnessing UFO, EVP, and paranormal activity. You may visit his YouTube channel and Facebook page, where you can watch several of his recordings on this phenomena and follow in on what he's been documenting. Simply search Weird Texas EVP. Our co-host with us now is the network's newly appointed co-founder. He's done a tremendous job getting the word out about the network and Aliendisc.net, a discussion forum that covers a wide variety of subject matter, from UFOs, the paranormal, ancient civilizations, and more. Marshall and I are confident in saying we have witnessed without a doubt UFO activity in our lives, and our stories will soon be shared. But for tonight, we're very pleased to have a YouTube guest from Texas, USA, join us in an exclusive interview. Here is your co-host.
Yeah, I'm Marshall. I manage the Facebook page Aliendisc and group, and Matthew pretty much runs the forum. We're here interviewing Paul, and just going to get a little bit of information about how he got into paranormal research, specifically EVP stuff and UFO sightings. So his YouTube is Weird Texas EVP, and we're just getting a basic background on how he got into this and his family's history. So he's going to go ahead and enlighten us on that.
Sure. Basically, I've discovered, on my personal discovery of EVP started about 5 years ago. So that's basically when I started doing basic paranormal investigations. And but I've also been highly interested in UFOs. I had not seen many until recently, and my family history has a lot of ties to UFOs. Basically, my grandmother and grandfather woke up one night in the 1960s because of a motor type sound being heard. They live on 10 acres kind of out in the country outside of the Houston area, and basically they both got up and looked out the window to see what it was, and they saw like a disc-shaped UFO hovering over some trees. They claimed that there are windows. I don't know if there was actually windows and maybe lights on it, now that I've seen a lot myself, but they even claimed they might have saw movement inside of the windows. But the strange thing is like, after seeing that, they just kind of went back to bed, and they really didn't discuss it for about 10 more years. But then after that, it became kind of like one of the big repeated family stories that was told over the years, and I've always had an interest in such things. I just didn't always have the opportunity to see for myself. And basically, that besides my grandparents, more closely related family also saw UFOs, back in the 1960s, around the time my grandparents did. And basically, I think it might be following kind of like some kind of familial line. I have a closer relative that had possibly had a abduction experience, and if you need me to go into more detail on that, I can, but that occurred, I don't know, maybe at least 10 years ago, and this relative of mine recently moved back to Texas from, the event that I'm describing with her happened in Kansas, but basically they moved back here about 2 or 3 years ago, and then within the last year they started seeing false stars. Started seeing false stars not too far off, and so I tried documenting some of those with my camera. Basically, the camera didn't have a lot of zoom, so I couldn't get a great shot of it. And after trying to film them a couple of times, I started noticing that, in the area where I live, which is the Houston area, about an hour and a half from my relative, I started seeing false stars. And I had a guess as to where they might be, so I started going that way. And at first I was very relatively fearful to get too close. So at first I was kind of filming the false stars closer up, and that's all I ever really saw, like false stars.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, basically I would get closer, then I started seeing various types of craft. And basically now I can just step outside of where I live, and they tend to like pop out around a certain time, and I'll see several suspect things, but it's not like it's like, it's pretty high up, but it's like there's certain tricks I use to kind of know like if that is probably one or not. And I'm not always right, but like just by eyeballing it, but usually I am.
You get like a psychic sense maybe about if something's around too. Right?
No, it's not psychic.
No?
Definitely I'm not. No, I'm not a psychic. Basically,
okay.
Well, I mean, it is kind of intuitive, but they do a lot of things. Like, I always have my eyes up in the sky.
Yeah.
And they do things that kind of tip me off, like a lot of airplane lights, from what I can tell, are more of a whitish light, and a lot of what I see is more of an orange color. And, sometimes they're more like false stars, or you just see a ball of light, and other times it's like, you can't see it that great with your eyes, but sometimes it'll get like super bright, and then if you film them, they either try to, they do a lot of things, but a couple things they do, they either kind of like try to dodge you filming them, like they'll move. But what's strange is a lot of times they'll move closer to me, but it's like it's like when they move closer, they sometimes resemble regular aircraft, but I really have a strong opinion that a lot of this is them trying to mimic the appearance of aircraft.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of things they do to try to blend in. Like, you might be familiar with like a certain street, and there is no radio tower with like a white blinking light on it or something.
Right.
But at night, you notice there's a blinking light, and you're like, well, there's no radio tower, and if you watch it after a while, it'll stop blinking and then it'll move away or something, But they do just about anything they can to blend in. It's like they actually change shapes. I've caught that several times on my film, and I personally think they can almost look like anything they want to, and I find that pretty strange. I think actually I've seen them get extremely close to an airport over here, extremely close. And I think that I've never really witnessed any kind of possible man-made aircraft like following it or pursuing it. So I don't know if they're just not being noticed, like if they have a radar signature, or perhaps or either that, or they're just being ignored. I don't know. Yeah.
So
I Sorry.
Go ahead.
I actually was at a career fair once and talked to air traffic controllers and mentioned, oh, you must see UFOs now and then. And the guy laughed and said, no, it's too much paperwork. It's just they don't bother reporting it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell if they were really joking or if they were serious. But the guy that was supervising him had a very serious look to his face.
Yeah, I believe that. I do believe they definitely witnessed them. And I did one time see a UFO, what I would term like dogging a plane, and it almost seemed like the plane was kind of making like movements to avoid getting too close to it. But I've only seen that like once, so.
So do you maybe feel in some way they're trying to get your attention? They're trying to maybe make contact with you? Yeah.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, they seem to follow me. They seem to come out at mainly a certain time. They seem to hang out around kind of like a certain area that we've kind of established. That's where I go to film.
Right.
They don't always do that. Yeah, and I recently changed jobs, and it's like if I take like a smoke break or something now at night, because I've never really seen anything in the day, but at night, it's like it doesn't take them long to become aware of where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of strange.
So there's some sort of spiritual or interdimensional or astral connection there that they're connected to you with.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of maybe paranoid, but I believe that they can maybe hear me thinking. And that's how they locate me. As far as I know, I've never been abducted or anything.
Right.
However, once, I was seeing UFOs and I was doing an EVP recording with a ghost box, and basically, you can't trust EVPs you get. Like, it could be all fabricated lies, or it could be what I would call spirit contamination, where a spirit is saying something, or whatever it is.
Yeah. But
I got this message once over a ghost box, and it said, it's just a video I haven't put up yet, but basically it was saying, yeah, that's him all grown up, which kind of implies that maybe they had seen me as a child, but, I don't remember ever coming, being abducted or lost time, lost memories, anything like that. Okay.
So do you think like the EVP is directly related to UFOs, or do you think it's probably a mix of everything? And did that, your EVP research kind of lead you into UFOs, do you find, or?
I think it's related. I think that they can communicate by EVP, but I think just about anything paranormal can. Aliens are said to be telepathic, and basically EVPs are related to telepathic messages that are received over recording devices or radio. But in terms of, it's like I don't think they started coming this way because of my work with EVP, because I've been working with EVP for like 5 years, and it's only really back last October was when I really started seeing anything. So
would you say your experiences are definitely increasing as you go, or?
Yes, for sure. Every night, it's nothing. It's not always amazing, but I see things that I highly suspect are UFOs. I think they're kind of monitoring me. I think they might somehow communicate to each other, because there's usually like one, like maybe as a scouting party or something, and then that's the other ones.
Yeah, I've seen that one video you have. There's 3 of them in the triangle formation.
Right.
I also seen the exact same thing once at a country music festival up here in Canada. They appeared right above our campsite, and they just took up this triangular formation and just started making these weird movements and stuff, and then they just disappeared real fast. And it felt like they were trying to. There's something psychic about it, but it was, and then later on, a few hours into it, after they disappeared, we seen it off in the trees, a flashing light. And you could almost see the windows and the craft, and even make out like that there were occupants on board. So that was a pretty close encounter that we've had. But I seen your video on the field, and I'm like, that's the exact same thing that me and a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, one video I haven't really finished, but basically I catch. It's not super close up footage or anything, but I catch UFOs going below a tree line, kind of in an area that's like semi-country, semi-developed, and I think I actually might have saw some UFOs that were extremely close to the ground. I don't know if you'd say they were landed, but they looked like false stars. They were like balls of light, and I was basically, it was a strange thing because I was running my ghost box and I was trying to approach them carefully, and out of nowhere, I don't think this is connected, but it's hard to say. Like this beat up kind of gray car appeared down this, straight road that I was on, and it basically tried to prevent me from leaving. And I went around it, and basically I ended up calling 911.
Yeah.
And after about 10 minutes, they stopped following me. But the strangest part was when I replayed the video where I could hear more of the EVPs with the ghost box. Basically, it had warned me about the car like approximately 10 minutes before I saw it. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
so I don't know what to make of it.
It sounds just like an.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt. I was just going to say it sounds just like an experience you and I had recently. Yeah.
Do you think it could have been like a MIB, Men in Black kind of encounter?
Possible. I'm definitely not sure, but I was kind of in an isolated area, but there were also some homes, and they see me filming. Maybe someone just didn't like the fact I was filming, like maybe they thought I was trying to film someone's house. But they were pretty brazen because they basically came down the street. For some reason, I got the hunch to get back in my car. I just felt uncomfortable. And they came to a stop right next to my car, and then they get in front of it and try to prevent me from moving forward. And I went around them, and I went around them and passed them, but they after that they weren't pursuing me at like high speeds. I was doing like 50 miles an hour, which is the speed limit on the road.
Yeah.
And they were just staying behind me, but they were following me, and they had been aggressive. So, it was pretty, what's the word? Worrisome. And the next time I went out to that site, I didn't hang around as long. But basically, what was strange was about 5 minutes after calling the cops, they just quit following me. But they didn't they weren't tailgating me. They were I don't know.
Did you get a look at
the car? No, the windows seemed to be tinted, but it was also extremely dark, and I did not get a look.
That's interesting. I've had similar experiences when I've been watching the skies for UFOs, and I don't want to get into detail with that tonight, but Marshall and I have had a UFO sighting in Buffalo Pound, Saskatchewan last year, and we encountered this vehicle that, this was in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
This vehicle pulled up.
Just out of nowhere. It seemed like right before we were going to make, serious contact because there was a light, I don't know, not even 100 yards from us flashing in the trees, and all of a sudden, it's the only one at the whole place. It's the middle of the winter, the park's closed, it comes down right before we feel like energies are shifting, something's going to happen, and then intercepted it. Sat there, looked at us for I don't know how long, good couple minutes.
Yeah.
just circled really slowly, and then after everything seemed to be disrupted, it just drove away. So it was really ominous.
Yeah.
It was most kind of spooky how the driver of the vehicle, as he turned his vehicle around to get his headlights on us very slowly, like he was watching us.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that is strange because, I was highly suspecting that there were some basically landed too far off, and I wasn't going to go straight up to it. I'm reluctant to actually be abducted or something, but I was going to get closer and try to zoom in more, and so it is kind of a strange coincidence, and also, that it happened with you, so yeah, pretty weird.
Yeah, so to you, does that kind of tell you that maybe you're onto something that you shouldn't be and that you should pursue it, or what's your general feeling?
Yeah, well, strange thing is maybe because of my work with EVP, but especially when I first started trying to film closer up craft and stuff, it still happens, but a lot of my footage would get knocked out. It's like I would notice I'm not recording when I thought I was, even though I was mentally alert. And some stuff I had definitely recorded, but basically when I go to import it, it's not even a corrupted file. There just is not a file there, a file that I'm expecting to be there. It's just not there. And the other strange thing was basically when I first started trying to film UFOs, just from the car traffic and stuff, because I would just kind of randomly pull over on FM roads, busy roads, kind of higher speed limit roads. You would hear something telling me to stop filming and stuff on playback of the video. I just haven't really put that out there yet, but yeah.
Interesting.
So you've actually gotten messages from the craft. It's kind of crazy.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Stop filming them and watch out for the car.
Yeah, I found that strange, but it's ironic because now it's they deliberately make themselves apparent to me. It's they'll fly by, they'll be hovering over a lake, something like that, and they give themselves away real easy, and it's almost every night I see them, and it's it can kind of make you paranoid because, I'll come out to smoke and I'm like, well, I'm just not going to look up. There's only so much a day I want to think about this stuff. The rest of the time I want to just be tethered to the earth, so.
Yeah.
But, a lot of strange things.
So how long has this been going on that you've started to see these crafts in the sky? When did it start? What year?
Well, it hasn't been too long, actually. October was when I first filmed False Star, and then I'd say 2 or 3 months ago I actually started seeing craft, and that's when I started filming. But I usually film once or twice a week, but I see them almost every day, and it's just a lot of times I'm well, based on what they're doing, I'm either I'm tired or I don't want to carry a camera all the time.
Right.
I was coming from out of town last night, and I could see several, periodically on the way home, and they would get low and kind of hang out over some trees, kind of hide behind trees, and I was well, that might make some great footage, but it's also kind of risky. I didn't want to get too close.
Right.
But
there's always a risk involved in this type of work.
Yeah, so I haven't been seeing them too long, but I know some about the UFO phenomenon because I've studied it myself, but there's a thing that's been happening that people would associate more with ghosts, but I think it's actually tied to aliens. And at some point I wanted to mention that. Basically, The person I live with, basically they sleep downstairs, and sometimes, like, they'll sleep in the living room or something. And what's strange is I don't hear any of this upstairs, but I tend to sleep much heavier. So, but there seems to be a trend. It's only happened twice, but if I take the person I live with to go hunting with me, because he's been with me a few times, UFO hunting, that night, like, he'll be trying to sleep in the living room, and you'll hear, like, banging on the walls. One time we have a dog, and one time he heard, like, the dog bowl being dragged around on the ground, but the dog sleeps upstairs with me in a closed room with the door locked. So, it's the only pet in the house. But the strange thing is like, as soon as he opens his eyes and looks around, it stops. And then when he shuts his eyes and he's starting to drift off, he'll hear more loud noises, and it'll just continue basically all night. But it's only happened like 2 nights, but it was like the same night that we went together to film this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty strange. It's almost like poltergeist type activity, but it doesn't last very long. And I haven't really documented it. I haven't filmed any of the sounds or anything moving, but I think that they are able to do things like that. I don't really know why they're interested in me, or I feel like they're interested in me. Like, I think it's because, well, partly, like, other people will be around outside, but they just don't see it. But even though it's just right there, it's like they think it's a plane, or they rationalize it as being a star or something.
Yeah.
And then also just so many people, they're tied into Facebook, everyone's phones, or everyone is looking down into their smartphone, and they're just kind of like being distracted, and they're missing out on a lot. But it's, I can be out at work during a smoke break, and I see stuff out in the parking lot. It's at night, but other people they're just not looking up. They don't see it.
Yeah.
And even if they did, they may not realize, because it's not like a low-level saucer flying over the ground at low levels or something.
It seems like they'll only come near you if you're ready for it type thing. It doesn't seem like there's other people there that are inexperienced or not kind of like vetted to this. It's kind of hard to attract them.
Yeah, usually what I've noticed is, like, when I go out with the intent of filming, they will show up, but if I go further out trying to get more removed, like more isolated and like a clearer area with less people, they don't always go that way. Sometimes they kind of stay like where I normally go. They don't always seem to go further out with me. Sometimes,
almost like they signal you with their appearances.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes, though, like one time I was going further out, and I wasn't expecting them where they were. And basically I saw a ball of light right over a tree, like very, very close. And I wanted to film it. It was just I was so close, I was kind of fearful of getting out of my car. And so, it's just kind of hard to anticipate what they do. Usually I see them moving at slow speeds. Once I definitely saw it move extremely fast, and it really kind of unnerved me. It was actually one of the first times person I live with, I had pointed to this light up in a cloud. It was just kind of like an abnormal illumination in a cloud, a circular, like spherical type illumination in a cloud. And luckily he was already looking at it because we were in a car. But as soon as I pointed, I was like, hey, do you see that right there? As soon as I pointed and said that, it took off. It just sped off real fast. And it was almost like it either saw me pointing, which I'm not as convinced. I think it heard what I was saying, like telepathically, and just took off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It does seem like they're trying to get us in a position where they can, seems like communicate almost.
Yeah.
Make a
Yeah.
first-hand personal contact experience.
Right.
I know for me it started back in 2012. I had cognitive dreams. It's the first time I ever experienced the UFO. I had a dream, and then the night before they showed up exactly like they did in the dream. And many of my experiences revolve around, dreams, and then seeing them manifest into reality. So it's kind of weird how there's
Hello?
cautious. Are you still there?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just didn't hear you for a minute. Yeah, but that is strange. Yeah, I don't really remember my dreams much, but I have dreamed of them a couple times. I just don't know if I've ever had a correlation with that. But yeah, they're very telepathic, so they might even be influencing your dreams, is my guess.
Matthew, do we still have you on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still here too.
So, what's your next step with just continuing trying to get more video, and maybe at some point be ready for that contact experience if it arrives?
Well, my next direct step, I had bought a camera with a way better zoom factor, but apparently I thought it was night vision, and it's not. But I found out that they do sell these night vision and full spectrum cameras with a 40-time optical zoom and like a 375 digital zoom, and basically that's my next step. I'm just kind of waiting on my tax return. And I'm hoping I can get, like, instead of just getting more of like the lights, like hopefully I'll be able to see at least an outline of the craft itself. As far as meeting them, I've always, since I've been seeing them, I've kind of wondered, I wonder what it would be like, but I'm also kind of afraid they, on EVP, they said that they're peaceful. I asked, are you peaceful? And they said, yeah, we're peaceful. But assuming that's really them. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd think if they wanted to like lure you out or do something destructive to you, you think that they could just do that anytime, no? Like, why would they just go to all this hassle, just, making themselves known here and there and getting you out to a place where they can talk to you and get you away from being intercepted or something like that, when they could just do what they want technically, right? So
it's quite possibly.
I mean, I've
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
Oh, sorry.
It's quite possibly that they're preparing you for some further contact, like desensitizing you with these sightings. They're getting closer, and it's just becoming more and more obvious that some kind of contact is trying to be established more directly.
That's kind of my thought. Because when I first started seeing false stars, I was fearful of even that, actually, that I was seeing them from my own backyard. And then as I started braving getting closer over time, it's like when I see them now, it doesn't worry me so much. But if I had seen this when I first started out, I'd probably be having a panic attack or something. So.
Right. Yeah, I've never really gotten a frightened experience, maybe a bit hesitant, but it seems like overall it's just like something that I should pursue. It's not really something that's threatening. The only thing that's been threatening to me is kind of the interception, but like them themselves, I don't really get that feeling, not in my dreams or in real life when I see them, because they're not really aggressive. Like, I don't sense that. But
right.
But you said
think the movie. Yeah, I just think of the movie Fire in the Sky, and I'm like, I really hope it's not like that. But I've heard of a lot of positive experiences with these beings too. So
yeah, I've heard of a lot where they do take you and do examinations on you, but then once you're not totally afraid of them, and you try and establish communication, they actually open up and talk to you and tell you about like they're there and what they're doing.
Right.
So,
yeah, and probably within the last 2 weeks, I've been noticing them more, like going to tree lines and kind of getting low, and it's like somewhat removed, but it's almost like an invitation, like, hey, if you want to get closer, we're over here. But I just haven't been ready to accept that yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty ready too, personally myself. You said that you kind of researched this subject, so my question to you is like, what do you think you're dealing with here specifically? What's your theory on what to expect? Inside these crafts. What maybe to learn from them? What's going on? Do you have any kind of theories on that?
Well, in general, I try to be unbiased. Like, I try to go on my own experiences and base that's, I do go by others, obviously to some degree, but I try to not make assumptions based on what I've heard from others. So
right.
I don't know fully what to expect, but, I've heard a lot that supposedly inside the craft there's no gravity, even when they're close to Earth, possibly. I really don't know what to expect. But I also kind of have I kind of have a feeling like I've been wondering like how solid are they really? Like are they really made of? I think they definitely are solid to some degree because like in my paranormal research, it's much harder to get footage of a ghost than to get footage of a UFO. Like I can film these things every night if I want to. They're there, but like, are they strictly made of matter? Are they made of energy? Like some kind of strange life form. Are they made of light? Maybe. And I don't know what to think. I think like one of the things holding us back from what they do, besides maybe the fact that they've been around a lot longer, is that we're made of matter, and so like I don't know if we could ever do what they do. I don't really know, but I also kind of have a just a curiosity if maybe I don't really know why, but if maybe inside the craft is actually larger than what it looks like on the outside, but that might just be from watching sci-fi movies or something, who knows.
Mm-hmm.
So. I mean, do you actually think they're like physical beings that just come light years away, or interdimensional?
Yeah, they're definitely interdimensional because they're showing up in the dreamscape / astral realm, and they're showing up in reality. And there's definitely a connection there, and I've read a lot of experiences of how people who have been taken by these beings go through walls and stuff like that, and they come in through, they go through matter, and they can just get out of your house without anything, just by some sort of force. I'm not sure which, but they can.
So I think
definitely have no problem.
I think they have kind of like more metaphysical abilities. They're not. I don't think they're exactly like a ghost, but they can definitely. I think you can talk to them over like the ghost box, and actually a lot of people don't know, but Frank, I don't know how you say his last name, Sumption, Sumption. He was the inventor of the ghost box. Back before you could just kind of modify some of the radios, he came up with the concept and made circuits to perform what he wanted to do with the ghost box.
Wow.
Basically, the intention, even though he was highly interested in EVP research, the intention of the device was not to speak to ghosts, even though it does work with ghosts. The intention was to speak to extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
And
I personally haven't
some
had
of the
any paranormal, like ghost type experiences, but certainly UFOs.
Right.
So I don't know why.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like a mesh, like kind of off topic, but some people will talk about Bigfoot, and a lot of them think that Bigfoot is strictly a physical being, but I kind of think that you know, I've also heard that they kind of can appear and disappear like ghosts. So also, you know, there seems to be some. Yeah, there also seems to be some strange blending of old folklore about like fairies and stuff like that, because fairies are said to abduct people. They caused lapse or, you know, lost time. You might, they said a lot of things like about fairies, like if they took you, you might feel like you're there 20 minutes, and when you get back, you've been gone for 5 days or something. And people didn't always talk about UFOs, but they talked about fairies for a long time. And when I say a fairy, I don't mean, you know, some people might think, oh, like a little thing with wings flying around. No, it's a, you know, kind of interdimensional being. They also make some life themselves, but, you know, it's nothing like a craft, but it's kind of interrelated in a way.
Yeah, I don't know why, like, there's this big conspiracy and secrecy surrounding this, and it's happening all over the world. Like, it kind of makes you think that maybe, you know, question, first of all, why are people hiding this from the general public? Like, what's the big secret? Like, it seems like there's something they don't, like, governments of the world don't want us to know, and getting close to it, there's a lot of, you know, preventative measures in place. So what does that really say about the reality we live in? Like, it almost seems like maybe they're a means for escape, or to a greater reality we don't know about or we're not told about, that maybe exists, but when certain people are experiencing it, like for example, like just being able to work within the astral realm and things like that. Like, the universe is theoretically infinite, so, like, who knows what kind of realities we're missing out on. These things could possibly be a doorway to, right?
Right. I think basically they kind of lost my train of thought, but they're what is it? They're just I'm sorry, I totally lost it there. Yeah, but
that's all right.
Go ahead,
Matthew. What's your take on what's your theory on what these things are and where they lead to?
That is a big question.
$1 million question. It's the one you can only answer with direct experience, I guess. Seems to be the next step and part of this equation.
Well, if I could jump in, I was thinking, I think some people just may not handle the knowledge very well. It's about like how they can deal with it psychologically, and also the human body. The human body has built-in filters for a lot of this stuff. Like, for example, you know, we're very limited on the types of light that we can see. Like, some animals can see light that we can't, and that's why, like, in a lot of paranormal things, like, you might see something out of the corner of your eye, but if you actually look at it, you can't see it because your peripherals pick up on it. And that's actually something I witnessed too. Like, sometimes I'll think I see a light in the sky that's like there, but as soon as I look, it's not there. And it's either like moving rapidly or I think I really am seeing something. Yeah, and I think we were built with these filters, maybe because the society at large may not be able to handle it or something. I don't really know.
You think maybe these filters are meant to be broken?
For the right person, yeah.
Yeah, for the right person.
Yeah,
too many people.
you know, a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people they can't even handle a ghost or something, and ghosts can't. Ghosts can't take you away for 5 days. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that almost kind of explain why you can only really make it like a personal exploration. It's not like they're not going to come here and build themselves to everyone. They're probably going to start with, you know, people that are ready for it. And as time goes on and things advance and develop and evolve, maybe the whole world will be ready. But maybe they're prepping individual people with the knowledge that they need to kind of possibly awaken human kind to greater awareness, to a greater reality. It very well be it too.
I agree. Like, some governments are divulging more now, and you know, some governments are way more open about their studies on the subject, and you know, they have groups like MUFON and stuff. I've been a little hesitant about joining something like that. I think there is a MUFON in Houston, and you know, I have nothing against MUFON. I'm just wondering, like, if the government did want to silence me and I went there, it would be easy for them to find out more about me. Like, you know, it'd be easy for a government agent to easily infiltrate MUFON. You know, because it's just basically a organization or club where you meet and socialize, and
it's a very high-profile organization.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the spotlight.
Right. And see, that's part of why I don't want to fully divulge where I'm recording these things. First off, I'm afraid, like, people might try to stop me from doing it. People might, there might be throngs of people, which I don't think that's necessarily good either. And also, I kind of have a feeling like if a lot of people started going there, it would eventually just kind of, the activity there would decrease, possibly. I mean, I don't really know, but yeah, some of the places I've been recording them, there are like highly documented case files of people that in the past had, you know, witnessed these things, and you know, they're like in books and stuff, but not many, but there's like this one big case, you know, and I think they're either they've been hanging around there the whole time. I don't know. People just kind of blind to what's going on around them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to go too public with it all, because I want to kind of pursue it and kind of see where it goes. Like, you know,
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think you know, I might experience more, like, if it's just me and one other person, or just me. Whereas, if it's hundreds of people watching it, I highly doubt as many revelations would be given. So
just gotta let us know that we're about 8 minutes to an hour into the interview.
Okay.
I mean, does it last an hour? Or how long does it last here?
As long as possible, I guess.
Yeah.
Whenever, just as long as you're comfortable with giving out more information, and if you feel like you're ready to wrap it up, then we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've covered quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much, like, I have more details, like, if it comes to, like, you know, what they look like. Like, sometimes I think they deliberately look a whole lot like planes, like a whole lot. And I think they can they can maybe even make you think you're seeing a plane. Or one time I was filming something, and for some reason I said I was filming it, and I had it in my viewfinder. It was pretty close, like a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
It's the video on my channel where it looks kind of like, the lights look kind of like an X or a drone, but I don't really think it's a drone personally. But what was so strange is that I said, "Oh, that's just an airplane," and then for some reason I thought it was an airplane. But when I looked back at the footage, it definitely was not an airplane. It's just like, yeah. And one time I'm pretty sure, because it was like a clear day, I was driving. I saw what looked like a commercial plane flying kind of off in the distance. And I always keep my eye in the sky, so I looked at it, and I looked away briefly because I'm driving. And I looked back just a couple seconds later, and I just could not see it. There weren't clouds. There weren't nothing to obstruct my view. It just wasn't there, and I found that strange.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot too. So lots of UFO activity, and then it seems like the energy will change, and all of a sudden there'll be planes around, like a whole bunch of planes. So they're either shape shifting into planes, or there's military activity detecting them, and there's actually planes moving in.
Yeah,
I think it's probably a combination of both.
Right. The first time I ever filmed a false star, we heard a loud helicopter, and but we never really saw it. It was nighttime, but I never really saw it. But what's strange is some of this is definite, and some is intuition. But when I first started getting braver to film this stuff, it was around some of it was around the time right before the Super Bowl in Houston. And helicopters would be flying over my house. The first one was the weirdest, but it wasn't. This was actually a little earlier, but it looked maybe like a police helicopter, and it was roughly circling the house I live in, roughly. And so I stepped outside, and it actually spotlighted me for a minute. And I thought, well, maybe it's the police trying to find a criminal or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back in, and I locked my doors, and I just stayed in. I was like, maybe someone's running loose, because there's a lot of crime and stuff. But later, closer to right before the Super Bowl, I had heard from someone that supposedly, don't be alarmed if you see a lot of helicopters. They're preparing for security and stuff. But what was weird was, I heard one coming towards my house, so I ran downstairs really fast and looked outside, and it kind of it flew a certain direction, but it seemed extra large and long, almost like a military helicopter that would have a side panel that would open, where they would have a machine gun.
Yeah.
And it was flying really fast. It wasn't flying slow. It just darted real fast, kind of a certain direction. And then it was when I would start seeing other helicopters by my house at night, they were always going that same direction, and they were usually that same type of helicopter. But lately, I just have not had any kind of helicopter activity. But if I'm taking a smoke break in the day at work, because I work part of the time in the day, part at night. Well, anyway, I noticed a lot of helicopters flying by. One looked really strange. It looked almost like an experimental helicopter. I don't know. It was kind of strange looking. It looked like it could barely fit one man inside, and it had a strange pattern on the outside, almost like a cow with black and white patches.
Yeah.
And the other thing, maybe just because I'm starting to focus more on UFOs, but yeah, I mean, I don't live too far from a major airport. The airport is Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston, but basically, I've always heard planes flying overhead, but like in the day and night, it almost sounds like I'm hearing more commercial type planes flying around, and I don't know. That's more the intuition part I mentioned. I don't know if that's just a hunch or maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it almost seems like there's more plane activity, like more loud engine noises flying by, aircraft type, It sounds like a commercial aircraft, but I don't really know.
What is the nearest military base to you? Is there one close by, or is it fairly far away?
Really, I am not sure. The biggest one I know of is the Army base. It's in Fort Hood, which is probably 2 or 3 hours at least. It's like a really giant base. I think we have some other ones, but I don't really know. Yeah, of course, Houston's home to NASA, or it was. I don't know if Obama got rid of it or not, but so there is an airport, and I have seen a lot of activity around the airport. I swear I thought I saw this. I couldn't get a good look at it because I was on this road called FM 1960, and basically I was by the airport, and it basically looked like something was getting very low to the ground, and it seemed kind of like it looked like a plane, but it wasn't, And it seemed almost like it landed in a field, but it didn't come down the way an airplane would at like a diagonal angle, and like where it hit a runway, it was almost a vertical down, but it looked like it landed in a field nearby the airport. And I'm just wondering to myself, like, are they detecting this with their radar? Do they already know about it? So they're just like shrugging it off. Oh, it's just another UFO, or I don't really know. But,
yeah, it's weird how they know in
as
advance of where you are and what you're doing, and it just they're there all of a sudden. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, it is strange. Yeah, and I usually kind of see them coming, but it's like I've noticed, like at work, if I'm around a crowd of people, like taking a smoke break or something, they're like further off, and it's like almost like I can notice them. A lot of times they look kind of like a orangish red light kind of moving off in the distance. And,
yeah, they're normally the ones I see are red fireballs. At a lower altitude, and at a higher one they turn to white. So I think that's some sort of way they signal each other somehow. So they also flash too, like really intense flashes.
Yeah.
If there's a bunch of them in an area, and then kind of like almost some sort of aviation communication or something going on, I would say. Like not other planes, but their own craft. Not sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing too. It's like they're kind of orangish red, and they'll get brighter, almost like you're catching a bright light sometimes.
Yeah.
And they'll be coming closer to me, and it's a little creepy, but basically, when they start getting extremely close, then they start blinking more like an aircraft or something.
Yeah.
And but they're not. Like a lot of times,
it's almost like they're shape shifting and morphing. That's the one I've seen. That was
I've definitely some of the weirdest stuff I've ever seen is like I filmed one that had like 3 lights and like a triangle, and then it was changing shape, but I kept taking different clips. Like I'd turn my camera off, turn it back on because I was afraid it might knock out some of the footage. But basically, it got pretty low, and before I left, it had like, I'd say 7 to 9 lights on it, and basically it was in the shape of a cross, believe it or not, like almost like a Christian cross, you know, and it basically was flying at the same speed that we had left right after I filmed that, because it was getting close, and it just kind of stayed over the trees on the left side of the road, and it was pretty much staying at the same speed we were, which was about 65 miles an hour, and then it's eventually passed us, and so pretty strange.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, I think I've run out of questions for today.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any more, Matthew?
I'm out of questions.
All right.
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for the opportunity, letting me talk, and yeah.
It's been a real
good
pleasure.
To talk to. Right.
Yeah.
Same here, and good to talk to some like-minded people for a change.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on your YouTube channel for more videos, and if you want to check out our Facebook page if you haven't already, there's some of our own videos on there, and we'll be adding this to the page, and we'll send that link over to you, and we'll be
great, will do.
updating our forums and stuff in the future for activity that's going on and whatever else. So thanks a lot. And your YouTube channel again is Weird Texas EVP for anybody that's listening might want to check them out.
Yeah. And also have a Facebook page. It's just, if you search Weird Texas EVP, it's on there as well. So
perfect. Well, thanks for talking to me. You have yourself a great night.
Thank you.
All right, it was a pleasure. All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.